Welcome back to another episode of the VerdeVUE Pod, an Austin FC podcast brought to you by KVUE, the ABC station in Austin, Texas. I'm Paul Livigood, senior digital sports producer. Joining me is culture reporter Brittany Flowers, sports reporter anchor Jake Garcia. We'll be joined later by Austin midfielder Alex Ring and some of the Los Verdes supporters. So we will talk to all of them in a little bit. But for now, we got a big week of soccer news. Josh Wolf has been talking about adding some scoring to this squad. Just announced today as we were recording it on Wednesday, June 30th. They signed forward Moussa. I had it written down. Djitte. Yeah, I was like, I was ready for it, but apparently I wasn't. But Moussa Djitte, he's a Senegalese center forward, plays in one of France's leagues, 21 years old. They signed him to a multi-year contract through 2024 with an option for an additional year. And the one last note on this guy is that he will be acquired as an MLS U22 initiative player, which all that means is it's a category of young players who will only count for $200,000 against the team's salary budget, regardless of what their actual salary is. And then the team, per club policy, they did not release what his actual salary is, so we don't know what he's being paid. But with that said, that addresses the forward position up top after Josh Wolf announced Tuesday. He said that Danny Hoesen was out for the season, but we just learned today from Claudio Reyna that that's not necessarily the case. He's going to go to Colorado to get reevaluated, but he just had surgery on his hip. It's a hip that has had him out since the Nashville SC game. In the interim, Josh Wolf has used Cecilio as that number 9, but now they have someone else coming in. So thoughts on that?
Everybody's been waiting. I mean, people have been wanting it. We've had injuries. So, you don't really know who a person is and how they mesh with the team until you actually see them. But hopefully it's what everybody's been waiting for. We've been wanting to see a goal so badly in the Q2 stadium. So.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know this guy's game in and out, because I don't think anyone can claim that at this point. The expectation is that he is hopefully here by the end of July and can start contributing then. He has to go through all sorts of league protocols to, 1, get to the country, and 2, become acquainted with his new team and every, administrative thing that is involved with that. So Austin FC, I believe, has 2 more games until their 2-week break, which then gets us to the end of July, which is, I don't know if that's a realistic goal, but that's the goal that they've set, to get him here for what I believe is the July 22nd match. So we'll see. Like, hopefully this kid is a spark plug. He's young, which is great. I think probably will solidify the attack and make it so that Austin FC maybe doesn't feel as pressured to go out and sign another forward. This doesn't count as their designated player. So that spot is still open. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but they can still go out and fill that at any point during the summer transfer window. Because they were able to slot this guy in their under 22 initiative spot.
That is correct. So hopefully I was reading that he's obviously not going to be available right away. So it's going to take some time. There's no for sure timetable, but what I was reading around was around the Seattle game coming up in a little bit, or in that time frame. But the cavalry is coming, so they're addressing the needs that is, very clearly before all of our eyes.
Hey, Paul, yeah. You watched some of his film, right? What'd you see?
I did. I found, as soon as they had announced it, I was like, oh, who are we getting? Like, I want to see this kid play. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know, everything about soccer. I am still obviously learning, but from what I've gathered, I watched his film and or the highlight tape, and granted, highlight tapes are supposed to make you look good. But from what I saw, like he was very decisive with his shots. He was doing a lot of first touch strikes. He was finding people, finding his teammates in the box, had his head up a lot of times after getting the good first touches. So it was it's going to be a different league, obviously. Not all leagues are played, the same, style and everything. So there's going to be a transfer of those skills or what have you. But he seemed like he knows how to score goals. He knows how to score goals.
Can't win if you don't have goals, as they say.
Gotta score goals, and you gotta stop them from going, and that's the name of the game, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go forward to recapping. Geez, the last game, Austin FC 0's another scoreless tie. The winless streak is now at 8. They still have only 1 goal in the last 7 games. Hopefully, Mr. Say it again, Jake.
Jite. Sorry.
Jite.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Mr. Jite can help address that problem. I guess hopefully it gets fixed before that. That would be wonderful. But 17 shots in the last game, which was the second most on the year. The first most was 20 against San Jose. There was a lot of chances. Right from 20 seconds in, Diego almost scored, and I was like, and that was one of the best looks I've seen in QT Stadium in a while. He just was unmarked. Unfortunately, he just didn't get it on frame. But Josh Wolf has said that everyone wants to be the guy. I'm not saying that, Diego had that, attitude going into his shot, but it's clear throughout the course of the game that, everybody would love to be written in the record books as the player that scored the first goal at home. And he said that, or Josh Wolf said that he can kind of see that's kind of been the mindset that has been on the field, is there have been missed opportunities in terms of playing one more, or there have been better looks when looking at the tape.
Did he say that after this game?
It was
because I know he said that after the first game.
He did say that.
In this game, I actually, as I was watching, I felt sometimes Columbus would open up and our players decided to make the pass instead of actually, going through and going for it. So I thought that at least a few times we had the opposite problem of people being selfless and trying to okay, I know that we have this one more pass, but Columbus, it was Moses. It was party, and I was they can't hear me, but of course I'm screaming because I always do. I'm screaming, go for it. They're giving it to you, because it happened at least a few times directly in front of my face and across the field where they open up to the people that we could pass to, but they weren't going to the ball. And I thought that we maybe had missed opportunities there, but I will say this game was better in that we came out on fire, like you said, from the first get-go. Right in front of my face. I wish Diego would have hit it with his left foot. Just tap it in.
Just tap it in.
Yeah, it's hard to leave once again. Oh my gosh, we still haven't seen one from any men inside of KVUE.
Christian Press.
Yes, and Lynn Williams, but
Williams,
we still haven't seen one from a man in there, but at least they came out on fire. You can tell the fans want it so bad. Once again, Brad Stuver, we can't say it every time, but we will. He's amazing.
Really good.
I thought for sure, because once again, second half, they're coming our way. So Brad Stuver's right in front of my face. I can see it happening. I'm oh no, they're going to score. I had no doubt in my mind that they were about to score, because it was right there, one-on-one with the keeper. probably going to score. The goal's right there. And his save, he's amazing. He's so amazing. I'm amazed every time, and I shouldn't be, or maybe I should be. I don't know. So many mixed feelings.
He was asked about, his performance so far this season after the game, and the word about him being an all-star was brought up. And he kind of he took the humble approach and kind of brushed it off. It was like, I'm just trying to do the best I can. I mean, but that's what you want, your player to say. But I think it's legitimate. Like his all-star pedigree, at least this season, is definitely one to watch for.
Yeah.
Agreed. Circling back to the conversation about the inability to score goals, I think the points both of you are making is that at the end of the day, they're just super inconsistent right now in front of the net. And whether it's because they make a pass too much, they make an extra pass that isn't necessary, or they take a shot when they had someone flying on the other side wide open. It's just they don't look comfortable in front of the goal right now. And they look comfortable in many other areas of the field, in different parts of the field. And it seems like as soon as it's there it is, everyone just gets super tense, and the players get super tense, and they just kind of panic. And so I think the solution to that is just more composure, trust that all of the work that has led up to you being in front of the goal, that entire process it's going to put you in those situations. So just relax. It's not a fluke that you're in this position. Now go find a goal. I thought it was the best game we've seen from Pochettino so far. He played inspired. Maybe he listened to this podcast and was you know what? Body language is important. And he played so much better. But again, that missing final piece is right in front of the net. And he's a professional athlete, so I'm not saying he's getting nervous or he's choking or anything like that, but it's just it's inconsistent right now in that area of the field, and hopefully it changes soon.
It's so hard to score a goal. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is so hard.
And you only score a couple a game if you're lucky, or not lucky, but
yeah.
And the other thing too is zooming out of our collective frustration of them not being able to score a goal. They were just playing the defending champs on the heels of two other games that were very closely spaced out. So it's not a bad draw. At the start of the season, people heard we're gonna tie Columbus. That's not the worst thing in the world.
Right.
Obviously, you want to win and you want goals, but it's not. They played so much better this weekend than they did on, what was that, Thursday or Wednesday?
Wednesday against Minnesota.
Wednesday was rough.
Yeah, it was a much cleaner, more inspired, and they got players back too who were hurt, so that definitely helped.
Before we go to talking to Alex Ring, the only other thing that I had written down that I thought was really cool was the ATX Pride flag tifo that the supporters group did. Wasn't that so cool?
It really was amazing.
I was wondering what they were going to do, because and then I purposely went down by the supporter section to see if there was a cloth or something. How they had the hoist it? Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know. The first one, they had to put the banner up, and so I'm sitting there looking, trying to see if there's something, and I'm there's nothing here. What are they gonna do? And then all of a sudden, boom! Everyone has their own little individual little color cards and stuff that collectively made an ATX Pride flag. So
the corner flags, they were rainbows.
The corner flags, yeah.
Our very own KVUE Jason Michael was there to be honored. Those in the Austin LGBT Chamber of Commerce, they were honored there. Tina Cannon, who's the president, she got to bang on the drum. So it was cool. I look forward to more Pride nights for sure.
Yeah, Pride Night was really cool.
Yeah.
They had the pregame warm-ups too, right? The rainbow
Yeah.
warm-up
The Love
jerseys.
Unites warm-up jerseys.
Those were sharp. I think like this, it's just a great point that like the club and the franchise is trying to capture a heartbeat of a city in so many different ways. And I think this is an unbelievable way to do that.
And then also another props to the supporters groups for helping out with that initiative as well. So now with that said, do y'all have anything else before we go to Alex Ring? Nothing?
No, I think they'd much rather hear from Alex Ring than us.
I would agree with that. All right. So
unless Brittany has anything.
No, nothing comes. Alex Ring all day.
Love Alex Ring. All right. Well, with that said, we will bring in El Capitan for the Verde. So come on in, Alex Ring.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. Seriously. I guess all of our first question is, what's it like for you to be named the very first captain of Austin FC? Did you see it coming? Are you a natural leader?
You have to ask other people if I'm a natural leader. No, I didn't have any expectations coming here. I think I said it before, we have a lot of great natural leaders in the team, guys who've been captains in their previous club. So no, I wasn't expecting it, but of course it's an honor and a big responsibility that I take seriously. Yeah, just try to lead by example and lead the guys and the club, you know.
I think it's been really cool to see you actually on the field do that, because we have seats that are pretty close, and I watch you because you are literally like you're directing people, or if somebody's maybe moving a little bit slow, you can see you tell them like, hey, let's pick it up a bit. So you do that not only verbally, but you obviously very much do it while you are playing on the field. You are leading by example, without a doubt.
Thank you.
Hey, Alex, as a captain, I'm sure you do everything in your power to make sure that you are as available as possible for this team. And that includes playing maybe through an injury, doing everything in your power to get back on the field, playing all 90 minutes of the game. Can you take us through just the amount of work that went in to get back from the injury in order to play against Columbus?
I think I arrive usually 7:30 at the facility latest. And I don't think I left before 4:30 or 5. And those days, like I said, the medical staff is fantastic here. So we put in a lot of work. There wasn't a lot of help at home with the kids either, because you continue doing stuff at home. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but you know, I feel responsible for the team as well. And watching from the stands in Minnesota hurt, because you can help the guys, you can influence the game. You feel a bit helpless. So you know, I'm doing the same now for this next game. Obviously it's a quick turnaround. So yeah, just a lot of work, but I love playing out there. I love especially playing at home in front of our fans, and you know, I'll do anything to get match fit ready for the team.
I think you thanked your wife post game. Like, she was the first person you thanked for allowing you to get back on the field. Why was that something on the forefront of your mind? Like, what did she do that was so critical in that?
Yeah, I mean, she knows I put always a lot of work, even if I'm not injured. You know, we moved away from home when we were 18. We met in high school, so she's been the rock for my career, and I owe her everything. You know, she gave up her own aspirations to support me, and yeah, now injury wise, just I come home, you know, I'm no help with the kids. I don't cook dinner because I have a million things to do, to different machines and contrast baths, and I do a pool workout at my house in the evening, just to, you know, try to do everything to be able to feel as good as it is possible in these moments. And she understands and she doesn't complain. So yeah, big respect.
That's so sweet. I love it. Okay, so we've had a couple of games at Q2 Stadium, something that you all and the fans have been waiting for a very long time. So what was it like to finally be able to play at home?
Man, it was amazing. You know, I don't know. It's been what, 18 months, 16 months since we've had fans, and you know, the energy they give you shouldn't be understated. It's a big advantage, and I think you could see it in our performances, the way the shift we put in as a team. Sadly, we haven't been able to capitalize on that yet, but yeah, I mean, it gives you goosebumps. My kids came with me on the field. The younger one hasn't done that yet. She's been too little before, so that was something we'll always remember, and yeah, very emotional, but in a positive way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, every home game is something you're pumped up for, because, you know, our fans, you feel the love, you know, they support us no matter what, and that's a big advantage.
Cool. Sorry, I had my internet issues, but I got it figured out. So, but I wanted to ask you about, I know Brittany has already asked you about, you know, being a captain and being a leader on the team. I wanted to rewind in that vein. I want to rewind back to the game where you got the red card. So I wanted to ask you about it. And you took a very long pause and just gave this extremely honest and very candid answer. And I just wanted to ask you, in terms of just your role in the team, how do you approach just being a leader and owning those mistakes? Or not, it's not even a mistake, but it's just you were just very candid about it. And it's something that I appreciated as someone covering the game.
I mean, I'm always honest. What do you want me to say? Like I said, I'm not gonna apologize for it, because in the end, I always give it my all. I play on the limit. That's my playing style, and I play a position where fouls and tactical fouls, you know, happen. But the long pause was just because a lot was made about that red card, and I wasn't annoyed, because the truth is it affected the game, and I owned up to that. You know, I'm man enough to do that. I think I've always had a strong spine, and I don't take pressure from media or fans or anything. I put that pressure on myself. But yeah, just, you know, we're always circling back to that red card, and that was one instance in one game.
Yeah.
And I understand that it was a big deal, because we ended up losing that game, and I was out against LA as well. But yeah, I said I'm gonna learn from my mistake. It's my first red card in my club career.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, I don't think too much about it. I mean, I understand why media and everyone likes to create the headlines, and it's still being mentioned to this day, you know, but that's what, 7, 8, 9 weeks ago. So for me, no problem.
And in that same vein, to fast forward to our media availability this week, it notably, you hold yourself to a high standard. So I you know, can you speak to the just your leadership role in terms of holding others accountable as well? Yeah,
I think first and foremost, you have to hold yourself to that standard before you hold others. You know, you have to back it up first, and do it on the pitch. But I think that's what we have to strive for. You know, it's not good enough for me to tie or at home, or be dominant but not win. You know, I came here to win, and that's something I always try to tell the boys. You know, that when you put so much work in, you have to reward yourself and get that win. We should have more points by now, and I know it's not easy. We all have these excuses, first year, this, and I don't care. I come here to win, and if you play with me on the same team and you don't think like that, you're gonna have a problem.
Yep. So I appreciate that about you. I just want to let that be known.
Thank you.
So you were the man of the match. Was it after the game that you got to bang the drum?
Yeah. I got to bang the drums. I didn't know we were doing that. So yeah, our team manager told me to come along and bang the drums. So I did.
So yeah, fans had been working on that. They actually got a local artist to paint that, and they worked hard. So what was that like for you? Because this is a new tradition that they're going to start doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, traditions are important, and I love the way the fans have taken that under their wing, so to say, and have put importance on that. And that's something we're gonna have here for years, hopefully. Like I said, the fan base has been amazing. You always have these expectations in your head how it could be like, but it's been better than I could have ever imagined. And yeah, it's just a pleasure. I think for myself, for the team, for our families and friends who get to come to the games and see that support. It's hard to explain.
Speaking of the traditions that we've seen the fan base kind of adopt, over the past 2 games, I think the thing they've said the most is Stu for Brad Stuver. You were teammates with him, right, in New York City before even this connection in Austin. How cool is it to see a guy who has been, for lack of a better word, a career backup, and yet still put in an unbelievable amount of work, now being rewarded for all that work with not only a starting job, but an unbelievable start to the season?
Yeah, I mean, he's an intelligent guy, someone you love having in your locker room, a great teammate. There he is, Mr. Stuver himself.
Brad, come here.
He heard his name.
He knew you're gonna ask this, so he timed it.
I just walked in the room.
So no, I mean, you have to be. I'm happy for him. I'm happy to see him succeed because, like you said, I spent the time with him in New York, and it's not easy when you come in every day and you're not playing. To hold up that professionalism and that belief in yourself. But he never let himself hang, and he was a top professional. So I'm not surprised at all. At his success right now, and I always like to say that's what we pay him for, to keep the goal clean.
And he does that.
And let's hope he didn't pay you to say those nice things about him just now.
I won't tell.
I don't know how much time we have. I don't know if we want
3 minutes. Rapid fire. Hell, rapid fire.
Okay, Alex, we're gonna do a rapid fire. These are
All right.
the very important questions that everybody wants to know. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, what sport would you play if you didn't play soccer?
Golf.
Okay, you're winning Jake over.
Wow,
What should people get yellow and red cards for in real life?
For being disrespectful. Yeah.
I like that. Okay, who's the funniest person on the team?
I would go with Kekuta.
Ooh, Kakuta would be so excited to hear that, because he also thinks he's the funniest person on the team. What do you wish that people knew about professional athletes that they might not know?
I mean, I think people don't ever really know them. All they have is this perception from the media, but you'd be surprised when you meet players personally how different they are. I think that includes myself. I am very approachable and nice, but I think the way I play sometimes can give a different picture. So it's not, some of the people behind the curtain are always a bit different than their perception.
Got to be tough on the pitch.
For sure.
Yeah. What is your go-to dance move if you're thrown in a dance circle?
Oh, I got a lot of moves. I'm a good dancer. I'm gonna say that out loud. and I know I can back it up.
What? We're gonna have a full-on Austin FC dance-off.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite activity to do with your kids?
At the moment, up in the pool with them. I think we're there every day, 2-3 hours. It's something we've never had before, living here with this weather. So that's something we do every day, and never gets boring.
That's cool. What do you do for fun other than soccer? Do you have any hobbies?
I'm a family man, I try to spend as much time with my wife and my kids as I can when I'm outside of soccer, and it's what I enjoy most.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Oh. Hidden talents. I'm a very good driver. I'd be a good race car driver, F1.
All right, well then that should be the sport that you would play if you didn't do soccer. Are you as competitive in other things? Let's say you're playing a board game, you're playing Clue or whatever, Monopoly. Are you that competitive as you see you when you play soccer?
Nah, I don't care. My wife is crazy, but me, I couldn't care less than, not that for me, it doesn't matter, but there are some family fights when the board games come out. So I'm pretty relaxed in that sense.
Do you have a favorite Austin restaurant that you've been to?
I like Wu Chow. I like Red Ash. Those are my two go-tos. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And my last question, in your best Matthew McConaughey impression, will you say, all right, all right, all right?
All right, all right, all right.
That was good.
All right. Well, we know it's an important day when we have not one, but two sets of interviews lined up. We are joined by Jordan Stewart, Brad Tillery, and Derek Ensign. Am I pronouncing that last name correct, Derek?
Yeah, you got it. Good job.
Beautiful. All three of them are members of the Austin FC supporters group, Los Verdes, and they were all three kind enough to give us some time today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the VerdeVUE podcast.
No, thanks for having us.
So the reason that the three of you are here is because, not to exaggerate, but World War III broke out on Twitter. Soccer fans against Jake. Kidding. But I was hoping we could just have a productive conversation. Hopefully I learned something. Hopefully you guys maybe see where I came from when I sent out a tweet over the weekend. I do think it was both keyboard courage on my end and on some of the people who reacted to it. So that's why I kind of wanted a face-to-face conversation. And so as context for the people who have no clue what we're talking about, before the Columbus game this past weekend, my podcast co-host, Brittany Flowers, who has season tickets, who's a member of Los Verdes, and who I will say I am very apologetic right now for even attaching her name to this, because this was in no way endorsed by Brittany. She sent us a video in our group chat, and it was from where her seats are, panning up to the left, to the upper deck, to where the very few Columbus Crew fans in attendance were situated and were seated. And they were in the nosebleeds. They were pretty much as far away as you can get in Q2 Stadium. And so I took that video and I tweeted. Let me give you the exact phrasing so I'm not dodging any forms of criticism here. I said, quote, Austin FC has taken a page out of UT's playbook. Columbus fans given the LSU ban treatment with these nosebleeds. Keep Austin petty with the little TM emoji. Yeah.
And I was tagged, so I was sure to get every response.
And so Brittany got every single one of these responses, and for that I apologize. But guys, before I give the floor to you guys, I want to say three things. Number one, as I sit here today, I regret the framing of the first sentence of that tweet. And I will get into more of that in a second, but I do regret the framing of the first sentence. Number two, this tweet wasn't sent maliciously. And no part of me was trying to start a war. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. To me, it was a funny visual. I still think it's a funny visual. And so that's where it came from. It was kind of just like, this is funny to me. Here it is. Number 3, what was the third thing I was going to say? The keep Austin petty remark, like, I meant petty in the most endearing way. I support pettiness. I think anyone who's ever either listened to this podcast or listened to me on air knows that, like, I'm here for all forms of pettiness. And I support putting opposing fans as far away as possible. I think it's awesome. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys. This kind of sparked a reaction, and I'm not saying you guys are representative of all of those different emotions that were conveyed in my Twitter mentions, but you are very plugged into the soccer community. So tell me why you think it drew the response that it did, and let's talk through this.
So I'll start because I think I might have been the first one to actually react to you. And my response to you was actually simply, hey, this is standard MLS practice. They did this to us in Minnesota last week. Actually, both times we've been to Minnesota, we've been in that top corner. We went to Colorado. It's a 1-level seater. We're in the farthest possible corner that they have us in the stadium over there. Same thing in Nashville, right? In the top corner, or in the corner, because it was all lower level seating there. This is just standard MLS practice. So for me, when I'm like, for the first scene, I know you're going to say, hey, I didn't mean it for you taken out of UT's playbook. Well, it's not taken out of UT's playbook. It's just the way things are done in MLS. I would also, as an SEC fan and a longtime dyed-in-the-wool SEC fan, tell you, we've been doing this SEC for 20 years. It ain't a UT playbook thing. We've been doing this since 2001 back in Auburn. So it ain't nothing new to me. The other aspect I think that maybe you're missing on that first part is, as a media representative of the city, and that blue check mark does mean something on Twitter, believe it or not, you may be held to a little higher standard. And so from our, or at least my perspective, I think a reframing of that tweet to simply saying, hey, Columbus fans are up here in the corner, is this normal? Would have been a totally different response, because, hey, yeah, you're just trying to ask, is this normal? Is this what's actually going on? Finally, on your keep Austin petty part, that actually is where I take the biggest offense as a fan and in the SG, because we have worked extremely hard not to be petty with other groups, going to bat on behalf of SGs with our front office. I know Derek's done that directly, along with other people in leadership, trying to make sure everybody's very welcoming. If you notice the tifos that have been out, none of our songs, none of it references another team. And there's a reason for that. And it's because we want to be above that and make the experience for Austin.
Yeah, I am completely all about pettiness, honestly. So I get that feeling, but I do agree with what Brad's saying about, like, we want our focus as a support group to be on our team and our city, and so that's an important part of the culture we're trying to build. I do think, like, maybe like as an individual, like a little joke here and there at somebody else's expense, but when we do something collective as a supporters group, whether it's a tifo or a song, that's almost always going to be about how great Austin is, and that you can understand, if we're that great, that means that we're superior to you. It's just like implied, But yeah, I think the reason it was a Twitter war was because Columbus was involved, and because there's people in Columbus that are just like waiting to find something wrong with Austin, and oh, I knew they didn't deserve this team. And we won't get into the whole relocation saga, but just like people are like ready to pounce on Austin over, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not real soccer supporters down in Austin or whatever. So I think that's the primary reason it blew up, in my opinion.
Jordan, what do you got?
Yeah, so Derek kind of hit on something that I was going to bring up, which is, first off, from my perspective, I was one of the people that responded as well. I tried not to be too mean, obviously, but like as Derek mentioned, the context of this happening was a weirdly online fan base in Columbus has been just like picking at because of the origins of Austin FC originally was going to be a relocation of the Columbus Crew, and then we got our own team instead. Everything worked out great for everyone, but they're still pretty mad about it. And this is one time where I saw them, going off, and I was like, well, it may not have been what Jake meant or intended, but it looks like, something they can actually get a point off of, I guess, in the weird, because I don't see this as being a rivalry. They're in the Eastern Conference. We'll play them at most once a year. I think it's only just because of the context of how our team came into existence, that there's some beef from them mostly. But that was happening. And so, like you said, there's a sort of the way Twitter is, there's just a temperature where things can really just catch on fire in any time that gets reached a lot on that website. But also from my perspective, I'm I've always lived in Central Texas for most of my life, 80-90% of it. And I went to school at Texas State, so I have a kind of weird perspective of being a Central Texas guy but not having a connection to UT. So I am a little sensitive maybe to everything it being compared to UT, I guess. But I also get that maybe a concern with that is that like Columbus, historically, Austin is mostly known for college football and for college sports. We've never had a pro sports team before. And I think maybe, that might be a way for people, with all the work we're doing to build a fan culture here with Los Verdes and other support groups, and the real atmosphere that already exists, which is incredible and is only going to get better. People may not get credit, or we may not get credit for that if we're just looked at as a college town that got a soccer team because, it's liberal or something. And Austin's much more than that. Austin's a very diverse city, and I think we really, reflect that in our support group. But also, I have nothing against UT personally. I, want my friends who went to school there and my neighbors to be happy. So,
I don't know.
Eric's gonna call you.
Kind of sounds like you do. No, I'll before we can move on from this in a minute, but I think as a lifetime Longhorn myself, I'm an alum, grew up watching Ricky Williams and all that. I do think that the UT analogies can be helpful to people to understand. And I mean, and it's a compare contrast too, it's different than UT in this way, and maybe it is similar in this way. And I know that you guys are, doing your best to educate an audience that probably is new to soccer in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I would say too, I want to add, partially, Jake, I think your tweet was bad timing. KVUE's done a fantastic job of coverage overall. I think that needs to be said. But about a day or two earlier, an anchor from another station here locally had tweeted something out that had caught a lot of flack from us because it kind of came off wrong. And I still think it looks bad the way they were trying to push a narrative about a team nickname. And so I think you might have got a little bit of caught in the crosshairs in that crossfire, because there was people already worked up, which I'm sure didn't help either.
I would like to share my piece. Thank you.
Share your truth, Brittany.
Here's my truth. My truth is, I love soccer so much. I love it so much that it has been a point of contention in my marriage. That's how much I love soccer. I love soccer so much that I want everyone to love soccer as much as I do. We have multiple times on this podcast asked people, Adrian Healy being one of them. My question was, why is soccer the greatest thing in the world that exists? And we've done segments Soccer 101 because I love soccer so much that I want everybody else to love soccer as much as I love it. My fear, and we've said all of that, my biggest fear is that people coming at Jake the way that they did, maybe coming at other people, can scare people away from it. And I want there to be zero gatekeeping in soccer. We literally just heard Brad Stuver say soccer is for everybody, because it absolutely is. I actually really did have a person that I know reach out to me and say, this would turn me off from joining Los Verdes because of how this was, I mean, there's a big difference between, oh yeah, this is exactly how it was when we were in Minnesota or whatever. There's a big difference between, yeah, no, this is normal, and oh my God, local media is embarrassing us. I can't believe this. Everybody should be fired. It's crazy to me, and I get it. And I know that Twitter is a place where people just can say whatever they want. I'm not one of those people. I would rather say something to someone. If it's going to be bad, I'm saying it to somebody's face. Twitter scares me. This is one of the reasons why I overthink before I post things, because I am too afraid of what people are going to say, and people probably be like, well, then stay off of Twitter. And that's just bull crap to me. I think that we could maybe be just a little bit kinder with how we speak to people. Like I said, there's a big difference between, yes, oh yeah, no, this is how it works, and oh, you're embarrassing us. And so it scared me, because I don't want people to be afraid of loving soccer and being new to soccer. And I've seen you guys like welcome people with open arms. I mean, 100%. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Los Verdes is a great place and like very welcoming, but publicly, just like we are representing KVUE, you guys are representing that. And I got scared because I was like, oh no, I don't want people to hate soccer. I don't want people to say something, a question about soccer or whatever, say something, and then people attack them, and then be like, never mind, screw soccer. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. That's my biggest fear. Everything else, I mean, sure, like everything that you said, I wish that the world would be kind. Is I guess my main point is I want the world to be kinder, and I want everybody in the world to realize how wonderful soccer is. And those are my two things.
The last thing that I'll say on this, and then we can shift gears, is addressing like the first sentence in that tweet, to where I said Austin FC is taking a chapter out of UT's playbook, putting the Columbus fans in the upper deck. As I reread that, I was like, yeah, like I could 100% see how people like thought that I was insinuating that Austin FC literally stole a practice that UT invented. And then to me, I'm like, well, you could technically, like, it's not even MLS fans who could question like your knowledge of the game. It's literally any sport that could be questioned, because like this isn't just an MLS thing. Like it happens in college football. It happens across many different sports, to where opposing fans are placed in the nooks and crannies of the stadium, that like they're just going to have the least impact of the game. So like, again, I do regret the framing of the first sentence. I think it was like my attempt to use like colorful language takes a chapter out of their playbook. That was taken literally. And like, I want you guys to take me literally, because like I'm a journalist, and like that's what's supposed to happen. So yeah, with that being said, a point that Derek brought up about just like the comparison between Austin FC and UT, and about how sometimes that can be a slippery slope. It 100% can be, because I get in a way that represents the struggle of old Austin, UT, and new Austin, Austin FC. And so like, I get that there's sort of like a weird hostility, and not everyone who is associated with Austin FC feels any attachment whatsoever to UT. With all that being said, like as a local sports anchor, I have to balance the two most important things that we cover, UT and Austin FC. And when I see, a similarity that is so strikingly similar, the band placed in the upper deck, the Columbus fans placed in the upper deck, I think I would make that comparison again, framing it a little bit different. Maybe I would just say Columbus fans given the LSU band treatment, something along those lines. And here's why: because our audience isn't a diehard MLS or Austin FC audience. Sometimes they're not even a diehard UT audience. It's like very, very casual sports fans. And so if I can make a point of reference that connects something that they've seen a lot of and that they know well in UT to Austin FC, to me, that is connecting people that otherwise wouldn't be connected. And maybe that person sees that and is like, that's pretty cool. That's a level of pettiness that I enjoy. UT did this. Austin FC is doing it too. Like, this is interesting, because again, like a lot of the criticism with soccer is that, oh, it's boring, there's no scoring, blah, blah, blah. And you will never hear me say that. And that's a promise like I can make to you guys right now. There will never be like any criticism or attacking from me on just like the validity of soccer as a game. Never. but I do understand that like a lot of our viewers don't view it that way. And that's the unfortunate reality. And so I'm just trying my best to make this interesting to everyone. And again, like the framing maybe took it to a level that I didn't intend, but like that's where I came from. It was out of a place of like just wanting to connect this and make this like a relatable thing, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense to me because like I've traveled college football stadiums around the country. I've seen games in every Power 5 conference and probably 15, 20 different stadiums easily. I don't think there's a closer comparison, honestly, to MLS than college football because it is a little more tribal. It's the only sport I can think of, much like MLS, that has a designated away fan section. You don't have that in the NFL. There's no such thing as that in the NBA or NHL. That doesn't exist. If you go as an away fan, you're just mixed in with the rest of the crowd. And especially if you're going as a Broncos fan in Cleveland, pray to God you don't get punched. But I think there's just I think the way you just said it, the framing was the key, right? And how it is said. I think if you said something effective, oh, MLS is doing the college football treatment, I wouldn't have thought twice about it personally. And that's why my response to you initially was just like, yeah, this is just standard MLS practice. This is just what happens.
That really
can I go back to what Brittany was saying? I think about gatekeeping and inclusivity, and that's like the main reason I wanted to talk about this, honestly. And I did bring it up actually in our Los Verdes Slack to everybody today, that I think obviously like criticism is fair, and criticism of the media, like you guys know, you have this this great voice that's representative of our community and all that, and I think criticism is fair, but I think that just like showing who we are as Los Verdes, as Austin FC fans, as Austinites, like first that we just are respectful of other people and that we're not going to like pile on because we have this like group mob mentality against somebody. I think is something that we can't do, and I do want people who are new to the sport to feel welcome. And I mean that's something we talk about all the time. And I think as this grows and we become more proud of ourselves and all this stuff, we have to really now guard against any kind of gatekeeping, like Brittany said, and say like, I mean, that was our message, right? As a part of our Pride tifo, we tweeted out, this game is for everyone, ATX is for everyone. And I don't want us to do anything to contradict that or make anyone feel unwelcome, because that's core to who we are and who we're trying to be. And yeah, so we're definitely going to, I think, keep an eye on that and check each other on that.
Yeah, I'll briefly follow up that what Derek was saying. What Brittany said, that the point that Brittany raised is very like good and thing to consider. I mean, I'm on Twitter in my profile pic with a Los Verdes scarf held up. I have it in my bio, and I have to remember, if I do like just really go off like all caveman style on someone on the internet, it's going to reflect on the supporters group. And a podcast I was listening to he was talking about how our supporters section in our group is radically inclusive when it comes to like human beings, but also radically just like passionate. And it's like for us, like we have to worry about the passionate side, not like becoming a turnoff, but we just want to bring people in, like by dancing and singing and banging drums. Like we just want people to do that with us. And so it's very important to keep that in mind. And I think that's a lesson to be learned from like the last week on Vine with the Columbus stuff anyway. And then finally, I didn't want to imply in my response to you, Jake, originally, that I don't think that analogies, of course, to like American sports, specifically college sports, can't be made, because as Brad mentioned, like I think the closest thing to travel culture globally in football, as it's known around the world, is U.S. college football, American football here, because like you said, you have large traveling groups of people and that are very, very like compact in stadiums. And then also like the supporter section, the insanity of that, which I feel like we want to be matched up with the best in the world here in Austin when it comes to how hard we ride for our team. is very similar to student sections in the college basketball powerhouses where they just jump and yell and sing for, the entire game. So I think that's a great way to get more casual fans. And I have a lot of friends who are just getting into soccer because Austin FC exists. And I'm trying to do my best to explain everything to them in those terms myself. So I think those analogies themselves, again, like it's more about framing on the Bird website than it is about what is said sometimes.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to add too is I think we have within Los Verdes especially a wealth of knowledge about MLS and soccer culture around the world, and we'd love to share that, like not via a Zoom call or a podcast, but literally just like let's go have a beer and let's talk about it. Let us educate you guys more on what we do as far as planning road trips or working with other SGs. If you need help understanding TAM and GAM, we've got people who understand all that, right? And the DP selections and how the roster management works. We would love to help, like, make sure that we're not asking for anything more than just, hey, if from our local media, then to be fair, right? And to make sure, like, as they're framing it, to make sure that it's being framed in I'm not begging for a positive light. I don't think that's your job. Your job is simply to be direct and fair. But if we can help you guys educate some things that maybe because our local media is new to MLS, that we can help out there, we'd love to partner up and do that and buy you a pitcher of beer over it.
We'll take a beer.
You got it.
Always, just not while on the clock.
Yeah, right.
I think the moral of the story is, like, we're all on the same team here. We're trying to make this so that the game grows to all, corners of fandom, whether that be someone who wants to get, super passionate about it, to someone who is like, this is a cool new thing. I don't have any attachment to UT, or maybe I do, but like, I'll give it a chance. And I think that's the most important thing.
Amen.
One thing I wanted to add about, like, who's invited to, is you don't have to be a crazy person who's jumping up and down in the supporter section to be involved with what we're doing. You can help us paint banners outside of game day. You can help us yes, you can help us raise money or amplify causes and stuff like that. And there's a lot more to it than just the supporter section.
I'm not in the supporter section myself. My seats are in the upper deck for the season tickets, but I try to get involved wherever I can.
Right next to the Columbus stand, right?
I'm literally right next to them, actually. That's why me and a Columbus guy last week on Twitter, he was like, "Oh, you're going to hear us." I'm like, "Promise you I won't. I'm 50 feet from you."
That's amazing. Hey, so we're running short on time, but I did want to get in one final thing with the three of you. In a sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences, as short as you can keep it, give us what you've seen from the overall atmosphere at Q2 Stadium. We've had 2 home games. You guys are obviously all 3, a vital part of what the atmosphere is going to entail for the rest of the season. Have you been happy with it? Has it exceeded your expectations? Give me your thoughts on the environment that we've seen so far.
I can start. I think that, especially considering the pandemic, that for game 1, game 2, that's exceeded my expectations of the buy-in and in the supporter section and all that. But also, I think you can see there's been a lot, like, around the stadium that's already happening and all that. But also, we know that we have a lot of room to grow still, and we do want that whole stadium involved in creating like a world-class atmosphere is our dream.
Go ahead, Jordan.
So I think so far, this has just been an incredible experience considering how new and how to this a lot of us are. But I feel like the supporter section, the stadium atmosphere so far, despite a few bugs that have occurred with it being a new franchise, has just been a very authentic, very like pure and passionate representation of like who Austin really is, how we're a creative city, diverse city. And it's really uniting a lot of people, I think, who have been sort of broken apart, like in our community through the pandemic, through the rising cost of living, gentrification, and everything else. The support culture on this team is bringing everyone back into the same room, and in a way that is just like as cool as it can possibly be.
So I've had the fortune of attending some of the biggest sporting events in this country. I've been to a Super Bowl, a World Series, a Game 7 of a hockey series, the finals of the Final Four, College World Series. I was at the famed Auburn, Alabama Kick 6, where they ran it 190 yards back for the touchdown. I've been to a lot of things in my life, a lot of craziness. Seen the goalposts torn down at several different stadiums. And so I think the perspective I can tell you is this is one of the best atmospheres for a regular season just game that I've ever seen in my life. A lot of 90, 100,000 seat stadiums that I've sat in where, I think about LSU, where I stood 5 feet from someone and couldn't hear what they were talking to me about. And it kind of reminded me of those first 2 games at Q2. And you can feel it even in the upper deck, which is, to me, that's the barometer. It's not what does it look like where the supporter section is and how crazy is that going? Because I'll tell you that's going to be great every single game. But how is it where maybe the casuals are, the people who are sitting down watching it, and they're all into it and clapping and screaming and yelling and ready to go? That's how you know the atmosphere is right.
It wasn't
I
until
love it.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say it wasn't until I watched the replay that I realized just how good the atmosphere was in other parts of the stadium, because it's so loud where I am, you can't really tell. But the whole place is like buzzing. It's awesome.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I learned something. I think this was productive. Hopefully, we can, be tight the rest of the season.
For sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks y'all for talking with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Jake, I'm glad that we addressed it. I'm sick of getting that many mentions all the time. It makes my heart hurt and I can't handle it because I'm a little baby.
I shouldn't have tagged you in the first place. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's whatever. I probably would have been mad if you didn't. So
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
have been
like,
mad if you
video
loved the
cred.
video.
you did send the video, so you thought it was funny too. So like, at least I feel justified in being like, that's a funny visual.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what to say. But anyway, that's Los Verdes, at least 3 members. That was Derek, who was in one of the green shirts. That's what he looks like with a shirt on, but many times if you see him in the supporter section, he does not have a shirt. Like anytime I'm looking and I can like see him, he doesn't have a shirt on. He started with a tank top on Sunday. At some point, he took it off, I'm assuming, twisted around his head and let it go. I don't know.
He cleans up well, I guess.
Yeah. You mean he puts on a shirt well? Yeah, totally.
That is what I mean. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for Thursday. I probably will go to the supporter section for a little bit, just to experience it.
It is. It's
Thursday-
very rowdy over there.
Thursday will be my first time actually inside Q2 Stadium for an Austin FC game. Because, hey, duty called the other 2 nights. I was there for the U.S. Women's National Team. I got to experience that field level. Opening night for Austin FC, I was anchoring our coverage on top of the apartment complex right across the street.
With all your friends.
With all my friends. Yeah, 50 of my closest friends. They were great. And then this past week, I was in the studio anchoring. I watched the entire game. So
Will you be on the field?
I will be. Yep. Shooting the
While
first
the
15
play is
minutes.
going on, you're going to see Jake running around with his camera. That
I
was a
wish.
joke. That was a joke.
That would be great training for the soccer league that we're all 3 about to be a part of.
Oh my gosh.
Are
we'll
we
save
going
that-
into that real quick, or are we?
We're
No,
not-
we
I
have to
feel
save
like
it for another time.
Yeah, this was a loaded podcast. It's bearing the lead, in all honesty.
Yeah.
We got to address this at some point when there are not a million other storylines, because this is newsworthy.
I agree.
Cool. So the match that Jake just alluded to, they're playing Portland on Thursday. Portland just lost their last match, and we haven't won a match in quite a while. So this is the one that I feel like this is like a opportunity to take advantage of. Let's get that first goal. Please, let's score a goal. That would be great, and get 3 points at home, because that's what you're supposed to do at home, is get 3 points. But the Portland Timbers are coming to town. Julio Cascante used to play for Portland, so we'll see if he is in the starting lineup or comes in as a sub against his former team. That's kind of a cool little storyline that I'm looking out for. And then, yeah, I mean, the elephant in the room remains. When will they score the first goal? When will we get the first win?
Hey,
Thoughts?
I want to hear who you all think will score the first goal.
We did do this before with the first ever goal. And were we any of us right? I don't think any of us said Diego.
Well, who do you think is going to score this one?
Do you have an immediate answer, Jake? I had to think about that. That's tough.
I think it's going to be Diego because he's such a hard worker. He puts himself in the right place at a lot of right times. I think I'm going to go with Diego.
Plus, he was the one, I mean, the last two home games, he was the one that was closest. His header, that was an amazing save, honestly.
It was,
This
yeah.
past weekend as well. Yeah, I was going to say Diego, but I don't want to say the same answer as Jake. So I think it might be Jared Stroud. And I think he can do it. I think he's also
Jolly J, as they know him on
I
Twitter.
think it might be Jolly J.
Jolly J tweets.
Yep. I mean, he's also a very hard worker. He's getting in there. He wants it so badly. They found him in a through ball multiple times against Columbus. I want them to put him on the left side so that he can cut in and shoot it with his right foot. But I mean, I'm not the coach, but that's who I'm going to say.
I'm going to go a little off the wall here. So corner kick, Julio Cascante against his former team.
Ooh, he gets up there. I'm pretty sure they just.
He's a bigger guy. He's one of the taller players. Obviously, that's like the only way that Julio's ever going to score a goal is like getting a corner or like sniping it from outside, which I mean, I don't even think I've seen him take a shot yet this year. I could be wrong, but
they aim for him on the corners, or at least they did a couple times this past
but
weekend.
I'm going to go
Gets up there.
corner kick. Cecilio gets it in the box, and Cascante gets the goal against his former team, just because that would be a cool storyline.
I love it.
Poetic poetry.
I can't wait for all three of those moments to happen this weekend because we're going to score 3.
Oh, there you go.
Only one of us can
score prediction, Brittany. 3-0. Obviously, just a shutout. Brad Stuver is like continue to be the beast that he is.
Without a doubt.
3-0.
3-0.
That's what I want.
I'll go with 2-0 Austin FC.
I'm gonna go.
Please say 0-0 because it would be funny.
You know what? It's gonna be 0-0. Clip it. No.
You just said that Julio Cascante is gonna score the first goal.
I know. That's why it's.
Yeah, but that will happen next week.
It wouldn't be against his former team though.
It wouldn't be against his former team.
Dang.
I will go. See, the thing for me is that I think if one goes in, the floodgates are gonna open. That's kind of how it was for the first goal of the season. That's my take, or like take. Geez, that's what I expect to happen if they do score a goal. They get one in. So I'm gonna go that they get their most goals of the season. Go 4-0.
I like it.
That's a big spend. Gotta get
crazier things have happened.
I am the designated player, so I have the money to spend.
Oh wow. Wow.
You know, I mean, that's what we said. He said I was the designated player, so I have all the money. You're the captain.
I forgot that you're the DP.
Yeah, I was. It wasn't self-proclaimed either. You were. One of y'all were the ones that dubbed me that. I think it was Brittany.
And I'm the ref, but I don't want to be the ref. I want to be the coach now.
Yeah, because
we coach this podcast.
Yeah,
that's fitting. Yeah.
It is.
Brittany direct.
I've coached in my day.
You're in the same line of thought as our coach Josh Wolf that we said before. So yeah, that works. You are no longer but then you don't get to get red and yellow cards.
That's okay. I don't know where they went anyway. They're gone.
Okay, well, you're
in the trash.
You're the coach now. So
all right.
With that ends this podcast. Thanks for watching the latest episode of VerdeVUE KVUE's Awesome Podcast. All of your awesome at kvue.com/AustinFC or by texting the word soccer to 512-459-9442. They say it on the newscast. You have to text us. Calling will not work. Don't even try it. Or the oldest joke on the podcast, you can always text soccer to Brittany and she will respond with,
Yes, please.
and that does it. All right, catch y'all next time. And we got to give John Gallagher. Oh, I did it. John Gallagher. I'm so sorry. We have to give the John Gallagher thumbs up. See you next time.
That's
Why is
Alex.
this guy laughing? Look,
Alex.
you with your Spanish.
who is it now? Mauricio?
Yes, Mauricio.
Mauricio, you need to do the all right.
Yeah,
all right, all
Mauricio.
right.
Come on, don't be a chicken. Let's go. Nah, see.
Oh,
Mauricio,
Alex,
man.
thank
come
you so
on.
much.
Thanks,
No
Alex. I
worries.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Take care. Have a good one.
Bye.